So, for today, we're going to be doing an ADHD shenanigan story. So, with these ADHD shenanigan stories, it's going to be basically how I or somebody I know or a group of people perhaps got themselves out of a muck, so to speak, and were landed in the situation because of ADHD and how they overcame the situation, or what the results were of the situation with ADHD at the helm. So, back in the day, back when I was a wee 7th grader, this is in the very, very, very early 2000s, back when it still felt like the 90s. So anyway, I had a book report I had due in my English class. So I had just transferred over to a private school, which I absolutely hated because private schools do not really accommodate for people with ADHD and other conditions. At the time, I had no idea I had ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD after I discovered I had it when I was in my mid-20s. So I went through high school and middle school and early college unmedicated, no treatment, undiagnosed, and it was brutal. So anyway, I have inattentive ADHD, for those of you wondering. Anyway though, so in 7th grade, early 2000s, I had a book report due in my English class, right? So this had been going on, this had been on the board I think for a good 2 or 3 weeks, and of course it would take me forever to read a page. It would take me 20 minutes to read a page. I'd be reading the book and then a character would pop out and I'd be like, who the hell is this character and when did he pop up? And I would have to turn the pages back only to realize that, holy crap, I haven't really been reading. I've just been looking at the words and like reading it but not really remembering what I just read. Classic ADHD hallmark. That's why it would take me 20 minutes to digest the information on a single page. So anyways, mind you, I was in 7th grade, going through puberty, and I had a million things on my mind. Yeah, it was going to be very hard for me to do a book report and read a whole book in the span of 2 weeks. So anyways, of course, having ADHD, I procrastinated. And then when it was time for me to do this book report, yeah, I was ill-prepared, just to say the least. So anyways, the anticipation up to this date, I kept telling myself, I'm going to try to read something. I'm going to try to read something. The nights kept going by, I never read anything. So people with ADHD, they like to look for a loophole or a quick fix, so to speak, sometimes. So I didn't know what to do, because all the books that were on this reading list were really long and like, you know, old school American literature type of books that were quite lengthy. So I was like, I got ADHD, man. There's no way in heck I'm going to be able to read a book in this short amount of time. I had a few nights left. I still didn't know what to do. So in classic INT fashion, I ended up going to class. And I had not selected what book I was going to write about. I had no idea what I was even planning, to be quite honest with you. I just went to class and sat at my desk. I was like, I'll think of something. Classic perceiver tactic, as you will see. So anyway, what ends up happening is right before we're about to do this in-class book report, because this book report was almost like a test where they give you like 2 or 3 sheets of paper and you have to answer all these paragraph-long answers where they really see whether you read the damn thing or not. So of course me, I was like, I haven't read a stinking thing. I was like, what am I going to do? So anyways, what I ended up doing was that I hadn't noticed earlier, but there was a book by the name of Treasure Island that was included in the reading list. Mind you, old Wilhelm here had not ever read Treasure Island. I've still never read Treasure Island. But back in the day, old Mickey D's, that's right, McDonald's, here in the US, they used to give out VHS tapes back in the day, back when we had VCRs, before we had DVDs and Blu-rays and all that. We used to have VHS tapes. just like the picture above, these bulky things. That's right, we used to physically put them in the VCR and rewind and fast forward and hope that hope there wasn't scratches and all that, because it can easily get ruined. Anyway, though, so McDonald's gave that out, and they gave out some pretty cool VHSs, I gotta say. They gave out Five Goes West, which is one of my favorite classic animated movies. And they, most importantly for this story, they gave out a Ronald McDonald version of Treasure Island. So, from that story, from what I remember, it somewhat stuck to the real version of the story. So I thought to myself, you know, I'm not really sure if I should try this. Should I? I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I have no idea what any of these other books are. I'm gonna get a 0. Might as well do a little something with my knowledge of this Treasure Island, because I had seen the VHS from McDonald's of Treasure Island. Now, of course, I knew that in the classic, literature of Treasure Island, there wasn't going to be, like, the Hamburglar and Birdie and Ronald McDonald and all that. So I was like, you know what? Let me write what I remember from this VHS, but just remove all the McDonald's characters. And then that way, it can make it seem like I read the book. And then our teacher, I noticed on the board, of course I didn't notice this having ADHD, but this book report was basically about a good 40% of our grade, at least for that part of the trimester, because we had our progress reports in sections. So basically, if I did a crap job and got a bad grade on this book report, yeah, I was going to have a bad grade for quite some time. So anyway, I ended up using the Ronald McDonald Treasure Island, the memories I had from the VHS. I was in class, I was like, this is what I remember watching on the VHS. Remember, I'd never read the book. So I just answered all these paragraph-long questions about Jim Hawkins and all this other stuff. I was like, man, I really, really hope that VHS really included what the real story was. And ladies and gentlemen, lo and behold, Old Wilhelm, the esoteric, ended up getting a B+. It worked! So, that's a story I really like to say, because I thought I was going to be screwed. My ADHD caused me to not be able to read what I needed to read, and I was like, what am I going to do? So, screw it, man. I used a freaking Ronald McDonald version of Treasure Island and just took out all the Mickey D characters like Burglar and Grimace and the gang and all that, and just left in the real story from what I remembered, and it worked. So thank you to the McDonald's company for giving out VHS tapes back in the day, helped me get a good grade and get me out of that ADHD funk, if you will. So that is my ADHD shenanigan story for today. Hope you enjoyed the story.